Every time you listen to somebody who's pointing to the truth, pointing to your true nature, pointing to what is actually real, it gets into different degrees. And you listen to it one time and certain things come through. You listen to it another time and other things come through. And so that's why it's valuable to listen to it more than one time, because the filtering system that your mind is only allows a certain amount of it to get through, because the mind is threatened by anything that's different, you know, from what it already believes to be true, right? So that's why it takes time for this process to occur, because you have to kind of outlast the mind, so to speak, you know, by continuing to come back to the truth again and again and again. And as you do that, it gets stronger and brighter and bigger and realer over time, until the effect that it's having starts to be obvious in terms of your noticing that you're more relaxed in your life, noticing that the things that upset you are not upsetting you anymore. And this is the fruit of the practice. This is the realization of your true nature, which never has a problem with anything, anytime, anybody, anywhere. Your true nature has transcendental wisdom, And it's important to understand that transcendence is often understood to mean that you kind of go away, or you go beyond, or you go above, you know, you transcend something, right? But that is not what transcendental wisdom is. Transcendental wisdom is you don't go anywhere. Transcendental wisdom is that the transcendence occurs at the same time and in the same place and in the same way that everything is happening ordinarily, right? So the transcendence isn't that that you change anything or you go anywhere. The transcendence is that you realize what it says in the Heart Sutra, that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. When form is emptiness and emptiness is form, there's nothing changing there. It's just different aspects of the same thing. So transcendence is the emptiness, right? Form is the material. Form is the form, you know. Transcendence is the emptiness. So emptiness is form, form is emptiness. So the realization of the truth, nothing changes. As a matter of fact, one of the things that is paradoxical about the truth is that you're actually experiencing it right now. You're actually enlightened right now. Because if it's true that nothing changes when you experience enlightenment, it means that you're already experiencing enlightenment. So this isn't about changing anything or going anywhere or anything like that. No, this is about relaxing and realizing where you already are is home. The only thing is that because for most of humanity, where you already are is understood to be a physical body and a personality, right? And since that's only the form part, you see, that's only the form part, that the emptiness part is being ignored. You know, the consciousness is being ignored. That's the emptiness part. The awareness part is being ignored, even though it's always there. So when you start to pay attention to it, you start to bring balance, so that the emptiness and form start to both be present. And when that's the case, everything's different now. You know, nothing bothers you because you know you're not the form, you know you're not the personality, you know you're not the physical body, although there's still a personality and still a physical body, right? But you now have the experience of the emptiness, which allows you to continue to live your life in such a way that the happiness and the peace and the satisfaction you seek is now available. It's now available because the happiness, peace, and satisfaction you seek comes from the awareness. It's the nature of your awareness. And that's the emptiness side. That's the emptiness part. I mean, even if to talk about this like there's two separate things is not accurate, right? They're actually the same thing. It's a paradox, you know. What appears to be form is empty. We know this even from modern science, right? That we know that this appears to be a body, but if you look at it at some atomic level, there's nothing here. It's literally now something that can be actually seen, you know, with these ultra powerful microscopes and whatnot. I don't know what, you know, what the stuff is that they use. But they can actually validate the truth, which is that the form is empty, that the body, there's nothing here. It's a matter of the vibration of it is gross enough that it appears to be here, right? So the realization of the truth is to know that there's nothing here, and there appears to be something here, and there appears to be a world there, and there appears to be other people, right? But you're no longer stuck in that reality, because if you're stuck in that reality, the brain feels threatened by being separate, right? And therefore you're always in this state of preparing to run or fight. But when you wake up to the truth and you realize, well, there's really nothing here and nothing there. There appears to be something here and something there, right? But now that I'm experiencing the reality of it, I can relax. Nothing can happen. So here's a quote. God is already present. God's spirit is dwelling within us. This is the nothing part. We cannot search for what we already are. We cannot talk God into coming to us by longer and more urgent prayers or longer and more meditation. All we can do is become quieter, smaller, and less filled with our own self and our constant flurry of ideas and feelings. You see how this is what we're practicing meditation? You know, moving our attention from the preoccupation with the idea that we are who we think we are to the actual experience of the truth, which is that we're actually nothing, we're nobody, we're God. All we can do is become quieter, smaller, and less filled with our own self and our constant flurry of ideas and feelings. Then God will be obvious in the very now of things, not somewhere else, not some other time, but in the very now of things, right now, right here, just as this is. And in the simplicity of things, not in something that's complicated or exotic, you know, or esoteric, but in the very simplicity of things, like the simplicity of your breath. Then God will be obvious in the very now of things and in the simplicity of things. To sum it all up, we can never get there, we can only be there. Can never get there, we can only be there. Now, if you listen to what I just read, right, do you notice there is some recognition or there is some resonance? You know, there's something about what I just read that comes across to you in a way where it's like, yeah, you know, like you get that, you grok that, you know, whatever one of you want to use. Well, it's interesting because if you get that or you grok that or it makes sense to you or you can identify with that, right? Isn't that evidence that you must be that? Otherwise, how could you get it? What are you identifying with, right? You're identifying with something that is always happening with you, right? And when somebody points at it, you recognize it. It's the same thing in meditation, you know, that you're already enlightened, you're already who you are, you're already what you are, but you spend most of your waking time practicing not being that, because that's what you learned to be true. And when you spend most of your life practicing not being what you are, but being, see, it's a little tricky because you're actually not practicing not being what you are, because even the personality is what you are. Even the physical body is what you are, because in non-dual understanding, you know, there is no two. There is nothing different from anything else. Everything is God. But we talk about it this way because your life is a lopsided proposition, you know, because you're living on one side of the equation. You're living on the side of the equation where the way you have it is that reality is what you think it is. Reality is what they taught you that it is. Who you are is what they said you are. Who you are is a physical body. Who you are is a personality. and you're living your life from one side of the equation. You're out of balance. It's lopsided, right? And therefore, they're suffering there. They're suffering there because the side of the equation that you're living your life on is the side of the equation that does not have the natural experience of happiness, well-being, satisfaction, and peace. Therefore, the way human beings experience the reality they're living in is that they're not happy, satisfied, and peaceful, and they're searching for it. Pursuit of happiness, trying to be peaceful, trying to relax, trying to reduce stress, right? But the real solution to that problem is to realize that there is a you that is empty. There is a you that is balances the equation, and that you that's empty is full of who you think you are. You know, that you that's empty is silent. It never moves. It doesn't suffer because it doesn't want anything. It's always available. It's available in the present moment because the present moment is the only real reality. There is no time. Time is manufactured by the thought process, right? So to balance the equation means to slow down, to be quiet, to be still, you know, so that you can recognize what's always here. You don't recognize it for the most part because this activity is always moving. You know, the thought process is always moving, right? Always presenting you with the voice in your head, talking to you about what's happening, talking to you about, you know, who you are and who other people are and what's happening, and telling you to be careful, right? Because on this lopsided part of the equation, it seems like there's threats. It seems like something could happen that could kill me, something could happen that could hurt me. And so my mind and my brain are organized in such a way to be careful and to be on the lookout for threats all the time and to protect myself emotionally and to protect myself physically. So, and the reason that's the case is because the other side of the equation is being ignored. The other side of the equation, which is consciousness itself, which is not physical, is not threatened by anything ever. When the two come together, right, right, it's the perfection of the possibility of being human, right? That you're in this world but not of this world. You know, that that your consciousness manifests itself in the form of a physical body and manifests itself in the form of a personality. But at the same time that's the case, it's neither of those things. At the same time that's the case, it's neither of those things, right? This is hard for the brain or the mind to capture, right? Because the brain and the mind it's either one way or another. It can't be both ways at the same time. Well, the truth is, it is both ways at the same time. And although you can't understand that, or the mind can't capture that, right? You can't learn about that, right? But you can experience that because you are that. You can experience that because you are that. And through meditation and through learning about the teachings, right? And through practicing, recognizing that, through practicing, you know, when you practice meditation consistently enough, the time comes when you're meditating all the time, so to speak. The time comes when, as you go through your day, you're still aware of the awareness watching the body breathing, you're still aware of the awareness watching the body walking, you're still aware of the awareness watching the body talking, you're still aware of the awareness watching the body interacting with the world, right? So that what was absent starts showing up. And when it starts showing up, then you have what's called equanimity. When it starts showing up, you have balance. The equation now has balance. So the word equanimity means it's evenness. You have evenness. It's not out of balance anymore. So everything that's happening, that's coming in through the senses, right, is received with evenness. It's received without resistance to it, right? Because the realization is that what's coming in and what's receiving what's coming in are the same thing. This is why when you establish yourself as being awake, which means you are aware of the awareness as you, when that's established sufficiently, then anything that's coming in to the senses just goes right through. Just goes right through. And you begin to be able to recognize if something gets stuck, it's because you're resisting it. If something gets stuck, it's because you are experiencing it from the view of the personality. You're experiencing it from the view of the brain that has been and the mind that has been trained within misinformation. It's been trained with misinformation. This is why brain science is so popular now, because we now know that the brain, which is the most sophisticated organ in the universe, as far as we know, 100 billion neurons, 100 billion neurons, right? We have no idea what the capacity of this brain is. You know, the neuroscientists are telling us now, along with the quantum physicists, that this brain is actually creating the universe. So just consider, your brain is creating the entire universe. How is that so? Well, what you're seeing that you could call the universe, you're seeing the room around you right now, that's the immediate universe, or you could look through a powerful telescope and look at the universe and the stars and everything, that whole thing, right? All that is vibrations coming in, light coming in through the senses, and then in the brain, it turns it into the universe. So this is not the way it's, the way these things are normally understood is the universe is out there, it's really out there, and I'm really here, and I'm really separate from it. But now, the brain scientists are actually discovering that that's not the way it actually is. The way it actually is the brain is actually godlike. The brain is actually godlike. It's actually creating the reality of the universe. So this is the possibility of waking up and experiencing the beauty and the magnificence, right? And it's the incredible reality that is within the simple, ordinary experiences that you're having all the time. That's why when you wake up, when you really come out of the dream and you really realize your true nature, right? You don't have to travel to Europe to have a good time. You don't have to go on vacation, you know? Your vacation is wherever you are when you wake up, right? Because you can look around in an ordinary situation. You can look around, you can walk around in your house and be on vacation. Why? Because everything you see is new. You know, when you wake up, you realize that everything that is coming in front of you is new. And so you become fascinated. You become fascinated with ordinary things, you know? You could walk outside and it's raining and you could walk outside and say, wow, this is amazing. Water's falling from the sky. You know, most people just say, oh, it's just raining. It's just raining, right? But when you're awake, it's like, wow, look at this. Water's falling from the sky. And there's these bright lights that blink in the sky and these big sounds that come from the sky. You know, then you're looking at the weather the way a baby experiences the weather, or the way my dog experienced the weather, right? You're free from your interpretation of it. You're free from the idea that when it's raining, there's something wrong. No, now you can enjoy the rain. You can enjoy the thunder. You know, you can enjoy all the forms of the weather. You know, you can enjoy the little things that are occurring. This is one of the reasons why in sensitivity training, or when people are going through experiences that help them to wake up to their true nature, right? That they could drink a cup of tea, or they could eat a raisin, and just, wow, wow, I'm actually tasting something. Wow, what is tasting? I don't know. It's amazing, you see. The most ordinary things can become amazing experiences. And if that's the case, if eating a raisin can be amazing, can you imagine what it's like to just walk through your ordinary day, awake, and be able to look around and realize, you know, all of the things that the God brain is creating for you to experience? This is the blessing of being a human being in a human life, is that you become available to experience reality. You could say that it's the way that God set up a situation so God could see itself. You know, it's the way God set up a situation, creating a universe that is being manifested, is being created by the unlimited creative power that God is, right? So that God could enjoy itself. So that God could enjoy itself. And so you can enjoy yourself if you understand the truth, right? Most people think, oh, in order to enjoy myself, I have to have the right situation, right? I'm going to go away so I can enjoy myself, right? Or I'm going to go to a restaurant and eat the food I like so I can enjoy myself. or I'm going to go to a movie so I can enjoy myself, right? Well, the enjoyment that this makes available is available at all times under all circumstances, and the self you're enjoying is the mere fact that you exist and you're aware. That's the self you're enjoying. So you can enjoy yourself anywhere, anytime, under all conditions you can enjoy yourself. Because the enjoyment of yourself is the self enjoying itself. You know, the awareness aware of itself is inherently pleasurable. This is why in meditation, if you continue to practice meditation and the personality starts to weaken in terms of you believing that that's what you are, right? And the awareness of the body breathing and the awareness begins to become realer and truer and larger, you know. When that happens, you begin to experience this pleasure. You start to experience like this pleasurable experience. And they talk about it in the Advaita Vedanta teachings as the, what? Satchit Ananda. Bob's my Advaita Vedanta assistant. And why do they say Satchit Ananda? They're saying that's the experience possible for a human being, Satchit Ananda. Sat means existence, Chit means consciousness or awareness, and Ananda means ecstasy or pleasure or feeling good, right? So they're saying what's available to all of us at all times is the experience that I exist, I am consciousness, and that's a pleasure, right? I exist, I am consciousness, and that's a pleasure. That's available at all times, under all circumstances and all situations, right? So meditation is a practice that can make that opportunity become clear. Because as you calm your mind and relax the body, all the noise, you know, all the, what they call the monkeys, you know, the wild monkeys in the East, they talk about that, right? All the noise, all the ideas that are constantly attracting your attention, right? That starts to calm down. And as that starts to calm down and the body starts to relax, it's like a window opens. You start to be able to see things as they are, not like what the thoughts are telling you, but what's actually happening. And when you start to see things as they actually are, you start to become aware of the possibility of enjoying your life. Because your life is not a threat. Your life is not a threat. In fact, if you realize the truth, you realize that you and life are not separate. You are life. You are life happening, right? You are life happening. They have that metaphor that they talk about where they say that the reality of who we are is like the ocean, and the personality is like a wave in the ocean, you know, just a temporary wave in the ocean that arises and falls, right? Well, when you wake up, you realize that the wave is the ocean, that the personality is the self, right? But you no longer feel threatened because this wave that appears and rises and falls, right, that's born and lives a life and dies, right, isn't going anywhere because it's the ocean. It's the ocean. And when you realize this, the ultimate fruit of the realization, the ultimate product of the practice of meditation and the study of the teachings of the truth is that when the time comes for this body to leave, right, that you can just relax and let go, and it's like, oh wow, the deepest sleep that I've ever experienced in my life that was so fulfilling and felt so good, and now I can go into an experience like that forever. That's what death would be like when you know who you are and you know what the truth is. The fear of it is gone and you realize nothing's going to happen. There's just going to be a transition. Energy is going to change, that's all. And you can actually be there for that and be satisfied, fulfilled, and completely relaxed and let go. And the reason you can do that is because through these practices and teachings, you discover that you can do that now. You can die now. You don't have to wait till the body dies. You can die now. You can relax, be open, receptive, feel at home, feel at ease, be with things just as they are, with no problems, with no fear, with no threats. And you can be having this experience all the time. So when the death of the body comes, nothing changes. You've already died.